the Patek Philippe 5524G. This week I was lucky enough to spend some time with it. When someone in the office throws you the keys to the Ferrari and says, "There you go," you don't need to be asked twice. Now, does this watch deserve your attention? After all, it's available to buy at most Patek retailers. There's no waiting list, so is it any good then? Let's find out. I'm Andy and welcome to the English Watch. This channel is about me and my watch collecting journey, an amateur enthusiast with an eye for detail, helping like-minded individuals like you start your watch collecting journey. Before we get started, hit the like button if you like this video and don't forget to subscribe. If you really like this content, feel free to buy me a coffee at the link below. I very much appreciate your support for this channel. Please also check out my other affiliate links and please engage in the discussion. The 5524G is presented to you in white gold, hence the G part of the name. Also available, the 5524R is in rose gold, Patek making it very easy to distinguish in the model reference, unlike some brands we could mention. Now, followers of this channel will be aware of my love for gold watches, having tried a number of them on recently. But this is something for the future, not now, where steel watches are the staple of mine and most others' collections. Now, before we get into my thoughts on this particular watch, let's ask ourselves why this watch even exists. So, question: why white gold and not gold looking gold? It's a good question. Now, I tried on and loved the 5524R a couple of years back. Not to buy obviously, just because I could. I adored the sunburst chocolate dial and that warm rose gold case. But this is a lot of watch and a little too much gold for my pasty complexion. There is a better way to enjoy the luxury of gold without drawing attention to yourself. I present the case for white gold. To most, you're just wearing another steel watch, but to you and those who know, but let's face it, there aren't that many, will recognise this under the radar choice. Not as hardy or scratch resistant as steel, as you'll see on the underside of this fresh example, but that's missing the point. Rolex does this well also with the models like the Gmt Master 2, where a subtle colour change to the dial is the only indication you're wearing something substantially more expensive. Back to Patek and the 5524. This may be an available watch, but it's not common and it's not a Nautilus or an Aquanaut, so it won't draw attention to itself, especially as it is here in white gold. Patek Philippe refers to this range as pilot style watches and inspired by the pilot and military watches it produced prior to World War II. Patek would refer you back to the two particular aviator watches from 1936 that have 24-hour hour hands, so one rotation per day rather than every 12 hours. The hour hand pointing at degrees of an arc from the graduated 360-degree circle at its centre. It is said that this can be used by navigators to determine their position according to the stars, but I have no idea how. Now, I'm a big fan of pilot watches, with one grandfather an aerial photographer for the RAF in World War II and the other an aircraft engineer working on experimental supersonic jets. You could say it's in the blood. Known mainly for delicate but incredibly well finished dress watches. This is an unusual range from Patek Philippe. Not very well received at its launch in 2015, perhaps this was to introduce a new range of sport style watches at a time when the Nautilus and the Aquanaut weren't setting the world on fire. Something to appeal to younger buyers, they said. Maybe in steel at a lower price point that may have worked, but there's more buyers out there in 2022 willing to pay for a steel Nautilus at double retail than this honest gold example. Patek are an old company, established 200 years ago and in the same family hands for nearly half of that. Patek Philippe are comfortable in their skin. They know their onions, you might say, and are entitled to go off-piste. Having visited the Patek Museum in Geneva, I can attest to the rich back catalogue of amazing pieces, commissions to royalty of unimaginable complexity for the time, very much worth the €10 entry fee. The full name of the 5524G is the Calatrava Pilot Travel Time. Quite a mouthful, but this range doesn't sit in Patek's classic Calatrava range as the name suggests. No, you need to look at the complications to find this one. where you'll find moon phases, calendars, and in this instance a GMT function. Here we'll find the 5524 with its 42mm case and also the 7234 with the 37mm case. The complications range being a bit of a tryout range for new Patek collectors. Now if you really love this style of watch and want to up your game a little, you can pass on the £42,000 travel time and head for the grand complications, where you'll find the £210,000 5520p alarm travel time. P in this instance meaning platinum. I mean, who wouldn't want to pay an additional £168,000 for an alarm function? Now don't get me wrong, this watch is lovely. The precisely 42mm case sits very well on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. Exactly 50mm lug to lug is the perfect span, and being just under 11mm slips comfortably under my shirt sleeve. It comes on a brown calf leather strap with a white gold pin buckle. I'm also told a blue leather strap is also included in the package, so the quick release spring bars are a welcome addition. Now I did find this strap to be a bit on the large side and still loose even when I used the last hole in the line. I have no doubt smaller straps would be available if asked. The slightly grained blue varnish dial is large and legible as pilot's watch should be, and in some light almost black in appearance. Patek have kept the dial relatively clean with minimal text. The white gold applied indices and blued cathedral style hands are filled with the luminous material and shine like a torch under my desk. They have an off-white hue that contrasts nicely with the other text and gives the overall appearance a warmer and more interesting aesthetic, avoiding the clinical all-white indices like a Speedmaster or going all out on fake patina. The second hand has a nicely executed skeletonized counterweight that is blued with a lollipop style marker on the end of the tapered white hand, sweeping the railroad style minute track. The indices themselves hark back to those 1930s models and very much like those found on the Zenith Pilot. Some might say this watch echoes. But unlike the Zenith, we have some welcome real-world features, such as the massive radial date wheel with the quick set accessed by a pusher located between the lugs just at the 6 o'clock. This watch has the same automatic winding 324 SC FUS caliber as the Aquanaut travel time. Available in steel at a paltry £31,430 if you have the connections to actually get one. But where the Aquanaut has a symmetry about it with the GMT pushers mirroring the crown guards, the Calatrava Pilot travel time has 2 additional crowns at the 8 and 10 o'clock positions. Now anyone who has an emotional reaction to Omega's helium escape valves would probably bail at this point, but I think they give the case a bit more interest and will spend most of their time tucked up inside your sleeve, doing no harm. These pushers unlock with a quarter twist to reveal the party trick you've all been waiting for, that GMT Ghost Hand. A skeletonized hand that remains your home time as the GMT hand would on a Rolex GMT Master 2 or my Tudor GMT. It is only revealed if you cross an international time zone, at which point you can move the solid hour hand backwards or forwards depending on which way the plane is flying to adjust to local time. But whereas a normal GMT hand makes one rotation every 24 hours, this one tracks the regular hour hands every 12 hours. Now Patek have seen fit to add the local and home windows to help you determine if it's night or day in either location. Now you may ask why you'd need to know if it's night or day at your current location, but you could use the local hand to track time in the New York or Sydney office as well. Now I love the hidden until needed aspect of this, and it keeps the dial clutter free for most of the time. The reverse of the watch reveals a fully open case back, and at only 31mm in diameter, I would have liked to have seen a movement that fits the 42mm case, a bit like an IWC Portuguese bursting out towards the seams. But this does give the owner a bit more gold in the case back and allows the same calibre to be used in the smaller models. I'm also a sucker for a micro rotor, but you can't have everything. As you'd expect, we have the usual beautiful finishing and hand assembly of a Patek Philippe calibre, complete with the gold rotor and balance, the Patek Philippe seal and those hand applied mirrored edges to the bridges and plates, where we have Geneva stripes on the bridges and engine turn into the base plate. We have 29 jewels, up to 45 hours of power reserve, that 21 karat gold winding rotor and anti-magnetic properties thanks to the Spiromax silicone balance spring. So there's no hacking feature on this movement, but what I have found is by applying a little bit of backwards pressure to the winding crown, you can drag the movement a little bit. Not sure if this is doing any damage, I don't think so, and I suspect it's quite a useful feature for setting your watch accurately. With regards to the Patek Philippe seal, no longer Geneva hallmarked or cost certified, Patek offers its own standard of quality that applies to the overall quality of the cased up watch, case finishing, bracelet and clasp, with movement accuracy of -3 to +2 seconds per day. The calibre does look a little delicate if very well made, and the owner should be mindful of the service interventions required to keep this one running at its best. This is not a Rolex that can be run for 10 years before seeing new oil. Overall, I like this watch a lot. It wears well despite its size, and it doesn't feel overdressed. It's an understated look with only the heft of the gold and a glance down at the manufacturer's logo to remind you of the price you paid and that special club you are now part of. It plays smart and casual and could sit nicely in a collection of traditional sports and dress watches. If you think the IWC Perpetual Calendar is too cheap at £34,000, this could be the watch for you. A small note of caution though, that availability can come at a price. Now, not all ships rise equally, and I have seen examples of this one advertised for £10,000 less if you're willing to play just outside of the factory warranty period. However, for those playing the long game, which should be the default for watch collectors, who knows if this ugly duckling will become a future classic. Now, if I had 43 grand at my disposal, I'm not sure I'd sink it into one watch, but it's certainly not a bad place to go. Let me know what you would buy instead. So this has been another desktop review of a Grail watch. Why not check out my review of the AP Royal Oak chronograph I made under similar circumstances? I'm just pleased to have had the opportunity to present this to you. Now, if you like this video, why not give it a thumbs up? And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe if you like this style of video, and leave your comments and thoughts on this watch. Anyway, I'm Andy, this has been The English Watch, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.